Hi, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to our SalesCon presentation. We are super excited to be here and for y'all to learn about all the awesome work we're doing at Fannie Mae. My name is Comercio Jimenez, and I'm an SDET. I've been at Fannie Mae for about 3 years now. My work mainly focuses on improving testing strategies and best practices across multiple technical disciplines, as well as maintaining and consistently building upon a fast and efficient testing framework. I enjoy figuring out solutions to complex problems and exploring and adopting new tools to improve upon our testing framework.
Hi, my name is Hallie Frobe. I'm a software development engineer and test at Fannie Mae, and have been with the single-family SalesForce development team for almost 3 years now. I have a focus in providing innovative automated testing solutions, establishing testing practices across Fannie Mae, and building and maintaining testing frameworks for our platform. I enjoy researching and trying out new automation tools on the market and seeing how they can help us develop and maintain quality applications.
So, to get started, we wanted to give you all a quick overview about Fannie Mae and what we do. Our mission here at Fannie is to help our partners house America and create opportunities for people to be able to buy, refinance, or rent a home. Our mission is really rooted in 4 key pillars or principles. Number 1 is affordability. We want to make sure homeowners, home buyers, and renters across the country have access to affordable housing. And so we help make the 30-year fixed rate mortgage and economical rental housing possible. Number 2 is opportunity. We partner with lenders in order to create more opportunities for buying and renting homes across your country. Number 3 is stability. We work to support the liquidity and stability of the U.S. mortgage market. And finally, number 4 is feasibility. We work to make sure that the home buying process is as easy and smooth as possible while reducing costs and risks. In all, we are the leading source of financing for mortgage lenders, providing access to affordable mortgage financing in all markets at all times. Okay, now that we have had an opportunity to talk about Fannie Mae as a whole, let's introduce you guys to our platform and our team. Our platform is the single-family SalesForce customer relationship management platform. As the name suggests, we work with the customer-facing side of the single-family housing division. Our vision as a platform is to empower our customer management teams to be proactive and deliver high value for our customers, while also delivering high-quality applications through operational excellence. Now, as a testing team within that platform, we strive to deliver innovative testing solutions that are fast, efficient, cost-effective, and high quality. All right, now that you guys have heard a little bit about our company and about our team, I want to give you a few key points to think about as we navigate through our presentation. First, see how we were able to achieve shift-left testing and development in a SalesForce environment. Second, see the techniques we use to give fast feedback to developers and how that helped improve productivity. 3, learn about the benefits of using frameworks that combine various testing methodologies. And finally, learn about the tools and strategies we use to deliver cost-effective and quality software. Okay, let's hand y'all over to Hallie as she guides us through the challenges we faced when we first got started on our test automation transformation.
A few months after development for our Salesforce project began, we realized that we were falling behind on our automating sprint stories and that our existing automation testing strategies were not scalable for a project of this size. For those of you who are not familiar with Salesforce, it is a configuration-based CRM cloud application that makes developing features and business solutions very quick and easy. Because of this, it can be a challenge to keep up with automation testing. SalesForce comes with a lot of out-of-the-box features and functionality that users have access to that our team didn't necessarily build. And it can be difficult to know whether or not it is necessary to test these types of functionality. Point-and-click configuration comes with a lot of benefits. It is a powerful tool that allows developers to make updates to the entire application with a few clicks. But small configuration changes also have the ability to create unforeseen defects if you aren't aware of how SalesForce development works and the scope of the changes that you are making. SalesForce has releases 3 times a year, in which they often roll out new functionality and out-of-the-box features. Before a release, they will give us several weeks to test our application with a preview of the software updates, which we often find can break our existing functionality. Additionally, small changes to the appearance of the SalesForce standard web pages often mean that we have to make a lot of fixes to our existing regression tests. As mentioned earlier, understanding the scope of SalesForce development and how it works is really important in being able to test the application effectively, whether or not something is custom code, made in a process builder, or has impact on other features. Having knowledge on SalesForce development really helps understand the testing impact and scope. SalesForce has really good training tools, and you can study and take tests to become certified. And this is something we often recommend to SDETs on our platform so that they have a better understanding of the application. Since SalesForce is a commercial, off-the-shelf application, most of the front-end look and feel is not controlled by our development team. Creating and maintaining HTML locators for our automation tests in SalesForce can be tricky and time-consuming. The element IDs are automatically generated every time a page loads, which makes it hard to use locators with Selenium. SalesForce also introduced a shadow DOM a few releases back, and we had to change our code base to use Selenium Executor to interact with existing page elements. Additionally, using wait statements can be difficult as well because the elements on the page render dynamically can be slow and don't load at the same time. The releases also typically come with a lot of changes to the DOM structure, making our existing XPaths no longer point to the correct elements. Every release, we have to update our existing regression tests to see if they are failing due to an actual defect or if it's just due to incorrect XPaths. With all of these challenges, we're facing a growing backlog of automation stories and finding it difficult to maintain our existing regression suite. This prevented us from relaying quick feedback to the team on feature and story development and led us to reevaluate our testing strategy and ask ourselves, how can we close the gap between rapid development and testing?
When we set about answering the question, how can we close the gap between rapid development and testing, and figure out the solutions to our challenges, we came together as a team to identify 3 central areas where we could make an instant impact in. First, we looked at our in-sprint automation work, and a major area that was causing us problems was the minimum test coverage that Salesforce sets. As part of deployment between environments, Salesforce mandates a minimum percentage of test coverage and will fail deployments if that threshold is not reached. Because of the fast-paced nature of our work, developers regularly would push code that only met the minimum without taking into consideration the code quality. This would result in poorly covered unit tests that depended on a lot of manual testing to fill in the gaps. After some discussion, we decided we can enhance coverage by implementing cross-browser testing. By doing so, we would be able to run tests against multiple browsers, and it allowed us to write tests that covered more scenarios. This change resulted in us also enhancing our UI testing capabilities using Apple tools to quickly and efficiently validate visual differences, as well as using the Salesforce Partner API for test data validation. Secondly, we looked within our test automation system and identified the excessively long automation runs as a serious issue hampering our ability as a team to deliver a high-quality product. We ran our automation jobs on physical machines, and these runs would on average last about 8 to 10 hours. This caused a delay. In identifying defects and providing our developers with the quick feedback needed in order to flourish. After doing some research, we decided the best way to move forward was with the integration of Sauce Labs and its virtual servers as a viable and effective solution. By doing so, we were able to also use Sauce Labs' capabilities for parallel test execution, and this helped decrease our automated test execution times by 50%. As a result, we were able to get quicker feedback on our automated business and technical shakeouts, which helped cut down the amount of manual testing our business had to do from around 8 hours down to, on average, 30 minutes to around 2 hours. Finally, we identified our CI/CD process as the final piece of the jigsaw that needed to be improved upon. Our initial CI/CD process involved having a single development branch for 6 to 8 squads. As you can imagine, this practice caused us to have multiple broken builds that weren't resolved for, at times, 2 to 3 days. This hurt our integration branch. This hurt our ability as a platform to deliver the quick and efficient product our customers asked of us. We had various discussions and decided to shake things up a little bit. We began by having a single integration branch that developers would then branch off of and work on separately. Once they were done with their work, they would create pull requests and merge their code into the integration branch after a thorough peer review process. The result of this strategy is that we saw an instant decrease in the amount of build failures, and we were able to move code to production quicker. This meant we were able to have 30-minute deployments of production, which significantly shortened our release time from 2 to 3 days to around 1.5 days, give or take. Our business has greatly benefited from the shortened release to production. Okay, now that you guys have had a chance to hear about our challenges and how we went about transforming our testing strategies, you're probably thinking how this actually looks in practice. Well, let me hand you guys over to Hallie, and she will walk you through it all.
When we went about re-examining our existing test framework, we identified the types of tests that we have and reevaluated which ones were providing the most benefit to our application in terms of coverage, scalability, level of effort, and maintenance requirements. Through our testing transformation and continuous improvement, this is how we have evolved our hybrid automation framework. On the left, we have our unit and component tests. This category mostly consists of our in-sprint development and testing. Apex is SalesForce's coding language, and our developers write these unit test cases as part of the story development requirements. SalesForce requires a minimum of 75% test coverage, but does not require tests to have assert statements, and we saw that a lot of our Apex unit tests weren't giving valuable coverage and needed to be re-examined. Communicating with the developers was important to understanding what their unit tests were covering and where we had unnecessary overlap or duplicate test cases, as well as identifying where we had gaps in coverage. We also implemented SalesForce API for our data-driven validation scenarios. Using the SalesForce API allows us to create and maintain test data between environments easily without having to do data loads and transfers between sandboxes. It also allows us to have test data that better reflects what is in production. Next, we have our visual automation tests. Previously, we verified our page layouts using typical Selenium automation. These scenarios would verify the correct elements existed on the page, but would not fail if there were unexpected additional elements, color changes, or incorrectly formatted sections of the page. We found a tool to enhance our visual testing that compares screenshots of our web pages. This allowed us to greatly increase our visual testing coverage without adding too much additional code. Using Applitools also reduced the amount of maintenance work. that we were doing for our automation suite. The most diverse category is our automated regression tests, which includes functional, integration, behavior-driven, which is our user-based journeys, our end-to-end scenarios, which is our business process-based journeys, and our API-enhanced tests, which help with making our automation scenarios easier to maintain and less likely to fail. By implementing SalesForce API into our regression suite, our tests are not as dependent on Selenium and are less likely to fail due to the inability to locate elements from either slowness or incorrect XPaths. The SalesForce API is also a lot faster and reduces the overall runtime of our scenarios. Finally, we have our smoke and targeted testing that we use to maximize coverage across the platform with running as few tests as possible in the shortest amount of time. These scenarios cover a high diversity of functionality with the most processes across the platform, as well as high user volume, functionality that impacts the majority of users. We run our smoke and targeted scenarios to test releases, critical updates, and software integrations. During our releases, we use these scenarios to perform business and technical shakeouts, which greatly reduces manual testing efforts. Overall, this is how we have segmented the type of automation tests that we have in our hybrid testing framework as we continue to innovate and transform our testing strategies. This next slide shows how our hybrid framework reinforces the agile pattern of the automated testing pyramid. And as we continue to innovate and grow our platform, we can step back and see where all of our testing practices fit together on the pyramid. Our hybrid framework can be segmented into these categories, and it allows us to see where we should be focusing our efforts with our automated tests. At the bottom, we have our unit and component tests, which make up the bulk of our feature and story coverage. Next, we have our regression tests, which is our automated scenarios that we run on Sauce Labs. Then we have smoke and targeted automation scenarios, which we use for testing releases, critical updates, and software integrations in our platform. These targeted scenarios allow us to test the most functionality across the entire platform in the shortest amount of time. And at the top, we have our visual tests, which we use Appletool scenarios running on Sauce Labs to cover our page layouts and making sure that the look and feel of the application is consistent across the platform. Overall, our automation strategy aligns with the typical agile automation framework, and we use a combination of testing methodologies to increase our coverage and get faster feedback to our developers. So, to give a quick recap, we went over what challenges our team was facing when trying to keep up automation testing with the speed of Salesforce development and the inability to give fast feedback on feature and story development to our team. We also struggled to maintain our regression suite and saw that our existing automation strategies were holding back the whole platform. In pursuit of closing the gap between rapid development and testing, we identified our main pain points. We analyzed what tools and strategies we could use to solve these issues, and we worked together to execute these changes to transform our testing practices. The key benefits of our testing practices are that it makes our automation scalable and reusable. It allows us to give our development team faster feedback on sprint stories, and it has greatly reduced our maintenance efforts. The results we have seen are an improved productivity, higher quality software with less defects, and an overall shift left of testing and development. Together, we are a highly successful and result-oriented team, and we are constantly innovating and researching ways to improve our development and automation practices.
All right, I think we have some time for questions, so we can take some questions now. All right.
Also, if you guys don't get a chance to ask questions or want to follow up with us later on, this is our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear your feedback and any questions that you may have.
All right. So, first question. Do you have your smoke tests scheduled to run on production?
Yes, we have our smoke and targeted testing. We run those in the production environment during our releases as part of our business and technical shakeouts.
Next question. Are we using the same repo for application code and automation scripts? So whenever the developer commits new code, it triggers your automation. So currently, we do not have the same repo. We keep them pretty separate. We have a nightly run for our regular regression that is kind of goes off of our current repo and signs in and logs in and does all the functionality work up there. We tend to keep it separate just to make it easier to manage across squads.
I can't see. Can you read it out?
Yeah. Okay, so let me take one more question. How long would you say this transformation lasted, and do you think you are finished?
Great question. And no, definitely we are not finished. I guess we've been working on this transformation for almost a year now.
Yeah.
And we continue to improve. Right now, we're working on merging our code bases across teams to just have one automation regression repository so that we have less maintenance requirements and duplicate efforts. And we're constantly, researching new tools on the market, figuring out different ways that we can improve our testing strategies and, reduce the efforts required to maintain code quality.
All right, next question. Were you using something for visual testing before AppleTools? So, good question. Before AppleTools, we did not. We would just create regular Selenium test cases. We would have to go in and write code to go through, like, for example, we have a lot of fields on a page layout. We would have to write code to go through and validate the XPath for every single page on the field. And we ended up having to have a lot of lines of code, and our runs kind of kept getting bigger and bigger, and we were trying to make our runs faster. So by implementing AppleTools, we were able to have less code while also maintaining that speed and that efficiency.
Yeah, going off of what Commercy said, when we started using AppleTools, we probably reduced like 30% of our automation scenarios almost, and a lot of the effort and maintenance required for those as well.
Next question. How do you handle testing between Classic and Lightning SalesForce? That's a good question. So I think for the most part, we have fully transitioned all of our applications to Lightning. There's a few external applications that aren't on Salesforce, but for the most part, we have it on Lightning. We just find it's where Salesforce is going. It's more efficient, it's quicker. So yeah, we don't really have any tests anymore in Classic. And then let me get another question. What language and tools did you use apart from Selenium, AppleTools, and AppleTools for test automation? And
Yeah.
What is your team size and how long did it take to achieve this level of automation?
So first question was about what language we use. We do Java for our Cucumber Java for our test step definitions and Selenium. Our team in total is about 8 teams of almost 100 people in total, probably about 80. But we're constantly changing in size and scope. And how long did it take to achieve this level of automation? So I think when we first started off, we were automating pretty consistently with development. Our team has been working on this project for 4 years now. Mercy and I have been on the team for almost 3 years now. Next question, how do you report the test failures to a developer? In other words, do you have the test failures automatically sent to developers' workflow? If yes, how did you achieve it? So no, we don't have test failures automatically sent to a developer. For Apex unit tests, there is an automatic email sent out to every person on the tech team to notify them. But for failures in our automation scenarios, we typically do the analysis and then raise a defect and notify the developer.
All right, so question is, who writes the Gherkin scenarios? So for the most part, whenever we're going through and creating our user stories to develop functionality, our product owners or product analysts will actually write the acceptance criteria of those user stories in Gherkin, which helps us a lot to actually take that and then implement it into our regression suite. We might have some tweaks here and there just to fit the format, but overall they give us like the fundamental given when then, and then we go and implement that in our regression suite.
I think we have time for a few more questions. Someone from our team asked, how can product owners and product analysts support your efforts? Any do's and don'ts for acceptance criteria? That's a great question. I think that, having very clear, detailed user stories is very helpful. I think our team does a really great job in most of the stories come in Gherkin format from our business team members. So it makes it a lot easier for us to understand the scope and break it down so that we can automate all of the different scenarios.
One more question. How do you make sure that your automation test failure doesn't block continuous deployment? So for us, since our SalesForce deployments are kind of separate from our automation test code, so as long as the unit test pass that the developers write from environment to environment, and they have they have enough test coverage, then those deployments will go through. For us, we constantly monitor our automation regression suite. So if we find any failures, we're quick to go in and notify the team and make sure things get fixed on that end.
But that is, to go off of what you were saying, part of the issues that we have is our unit test cases for the SalesForce development do block deployment. And we often see that people will go in and just comment out the assert statement on their test cases so that they're not blocking the pipeline. And then it sort of makes those test cases, not very useful. I think that's okay.
What is the percent of automation coverage you were able to achieve? So that's a good question. I think right now our kind of motto or kind of how we are functioning is whatever is automatable and it flows in the user journey, we automate. And for those test scenarios, I think we have like about 100%, almost 100% coverage.
100% for automatable scenarios. We don't automate a lot of things like email notifications. I know that there is integrations that you can use for Outlook, but so far we have not automated those test scenarios.
And we do have parts of our applications that deal with like phone calls or chatting, and those kind of scenarios aren't really considered automation candidates.
And also, we have a lot of third-party application integrations that we don't fully automate, like using DocuSign to sign our contracts. We don't automate things like that. Well, it's 3:32. We should probably.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Cool. I think that's it for questions for right now. We just want to thank you guys for attending this session, and we hope that you have found it very useful in your learning journey. We'd also like to thank the SFCRM team at Fannie for always supporting us. We'd also like to thank the whole team at Sauce Labs for organizing this event and helping us put together this presentation. Thank you all so very much.
And if you guys have any additional questions, please reach out to Commercy and I. Our contact information was on the last slide. We'd love to hear feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.